Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Abigail Murray. I work for the Saldanha Bay IDZ, responsible for enterprise development. I wish to welcome you to our 8th Togasi series for 2017. As some of you may well know, that Togasi stands for Talks on the Oil and Gas Industry, and the IDZ wishes to inform the SMME community about the industry. What is it about, what to expect, what the IDZ is busy doing, and our progress that we share on a monthly basis. The session is held from 9 to 10 on a monthly basis because our target audience is small business. So today we wish to share with you from our skills development unit, and Mr. Patrick Lakabane will do the presentation. So without further ado, I hand over to Patrick. Enjoy. Thank you.
Good morning. I've been introduced. Welcome all. I've also brought my colleague Zuko Mabope, who is part of the IDZ Skills Development Unit. So during the networking session, if you can't get to me, you can also get to Zuko. Zooks is the guy sitting in front. IDZ, this is the 8th Togasi, and I believe, and that's why in the presentation I decided not to put anything in terms of what the IDZ is all about. We are a state-owned company, and also the core mandates of the IDZ, and I think that is something that has been done with each and every Togasi. But what we have in the IDZ is a skills development unit, and the question always is, what does the skills development unit do, and why did we find it necessary to create this unit within the IDZ? That is actually the presentation that I'm going to give today, and also how we work closely with enterprise development that is headed by Ms. Abigail Murray. Now, with any opportunity in this country, I mean, there are two options for you to take advantage of the opportunities. It's either you can sell a service by opening a business, and then you obviously go and you quote and you tender, and that is how you sell a service, or you can sell your labor by equipping yourself with particular skills and competencies, and then you go and work for someone who pays you a rate per hour. So we, in the IDZ, in the Skills Development Unit, we are more on the human capital development side. So what we do is we want to ensure that people that wants to take opportunities, to take up opportunities in IDZ, they have the right qualifications, they have the right skills, and they're also efficiently equipped to take advantage of those opportunities. Now, Saldanha is traditionally a fishing community, as we all will know, and the IDZ has various sectors, and the one is repairs and maintenance. Now, we have a history of some repair and maintenance in Saldanha. I know that Sea Harvest many years ago, in the harbor there was a very strong ship repair and boat building industry where DCD Marine was still operating here. And then, obviously, many years ago, that industry actually subsided, and boat repairs and ship repairs were taken to Cape Town and to Simonstown, and that industry actually died a slow death, but there is still a footprint thereof. So we thought it wise to say that there is at least some footprint and some experience that we can leverage on, and to build on that with regard to our needs in the IDZ on the repairs and maintenance. On the exploration and production side, there is zero. Exploration and production in this country is new. The only other company or institution that has been doing exploration and production is PetroSA of the coast of Mossel Bay. And unfortunately, over the years, they've developed skills only for themselves. So they did not develop excess skills for the market because there's no industry, there's no market. Hence, on that side, I can confidently say that we don't have any skills, we don't have any footprint, and we need to do a lot to ensure that on the exploration side and production side, we build sufficient human capital to serve the industry. On the marine subsea engineering and fabrication side, the same like the repairs and maintenance, but That side is a bit more specialized, more sophisticated, and that is also where skills are lacking, because there we're looking at building parts and components for rigs, ROVs, remote operating vehicles, which is more precise, precision engineering type of work, and which needs high-end and also international standards to manufacture those equipment. So on that side also we are lacking. On the logistics side, logistics is an industry that has been active in South Africa. We have ship agents, trucks, warehousing. That is a service that is there, and also we can leverage on that skill. So there is a fundamental base of people that we can tap on, and then auxiliary services. That is those services are around. Medical services, security services, or any other services that will need to feed into this particular industry we want to create in Saldanha Bay. But the biggest challenge that we have where they are experienced is that a lot of people are not certified. So what happened is people would teach themselves particular skills or through experience, but people won't go through the formal route of certifying them so that they can apply formally for those skills. And that is actually the big challenge that we have in the IDZ. Now, part of a value proposition to our investors, because the IDZ is nothing without foreign direct investment, and also with local investment in the IDZ itself. And as an IDZ, we have a value proposition. These companies or these investors has a choice to go and put their business anywhere in the world. And the question is always, why coming to Saldanha? Besides anything else, all these incentives that is offered in the CCA, in the custom control area, we need to have a sufficient qualified, certified labor. It makes no sense for someone to come from Europe and then also have to bring all his labor along, and then pay out living out allowance, taking those people home, give them accommodation. Then it doesn't make business sense anymore. So it is important for us in the IDZ to say, should someone come and say we want to set up in the IDZ, we must then say we have the skills available, we have the people available, and also they are sufficiently certified, both on the national and also international standards. So that is important, and that is also the other reason why we saw it wise to have a skills development unit within the IDZ. Now, our core mandate is sustainable economic growth. That is what we judge on. If we can't prove that we add value to the economy, then our existence is actually nullified. We must also foster small business development, as I said earlier on, and that is where the enterprise development unit comes in. And we are very biased in terms of the small businesses that we want to foster, and that is first and foremost local small business, and then we will look anywhere else in the country. And then thirdly is to facilitate skills development, because job creation cannot happen without skills development. And that is where the skills development unit comes in, so that we can build that human capital that we need within the IDZ. So that is basically what we are judged on, and that is our mandate, and that is how the IDZ must actually carry out its function. Now, with skills development, there are core challenges that we experience, because you can't just take someone and you make that person a welder, or even you can't just take someone and make that person a doctor. There are certain fundamentals that we need to install before we can actually build a particular skill or give training to people. Now, our biggest challenge in the area is the fact that skills development over the years happened haphazardly. There was no strategy actually. There was no particular approach, informed or scientific approach to skills development. The whole issue of career guidance. Now, before I go into the slide, I want us to separate the following. We have basic education, and then we have higher education. Now, basic education in itself, as you guys will know, is a challenge. And we've decided that is an area that we cannot play. We don't have the capacity to play in the basic education area. We also don't have the manpower, because the basic education department has huge challenges. They're actually supposed to supply higher education. Now that supply, that pipeline from primary school to secondary school to higher education and to further education, that pipeline is distorted, it is skewed. Because point number one is either people take up the wrong subject courses for the jobs where the opportunities are, so they can't articulate into that. Point number two, the quality of students that we get from higher education into from secondary education into higher education, the quality is very low, unfortunately. So what you have is you have a student that you actually have to take back again to teach the basics that were supposed to be taught when they were in secondary education. And that is the biggest challenge that we have. And then along with that goes all the challenges with dropout rates, substance abuse, etc., etc. And that is why we're saying that that particular thing is really, that is a big, big challenge for us as the IDZ, but unfortunately we'll just have to deal with it. Now what makes it more challenging is that the skills development unit consists of me, Zuko, and 2 other assistants. So we have these 4 people that needs to train a minimum of 520 people annually for the next years to come. But I must admit that we've been innovative enough and motivated enough to meet those targets for the past couple of years. Now, from a national perspective, skills development looks like it looks there. I mean, there's so many role players within the Department of Higher Education and Training. There's also so many role players within the private sector and also each and every provincial department have its own education department. So I must admit, it is not how it's supposed to be. So the strategy, the human capital development strategy in the country is not as it's supposed to be. There's no one specific strategy. It changes. There's so many stakeholders and role players that we have to deal with. It's your CETAs, it's your universities, it's your TVET colleges, universities of technologies, it's your private institutions. And everyone has a different role, everyone has a different objective, and everyone has a different strategy. And unfortunately, this is what we have to navigate through in order to develop a particular skill out of someone. Now, our stats also is not in our favor in terms of the fundamentals. You must remember that for us to develop someone, we must step from a particular base, okay? And that base looks like the following on a national perspective. The unemployment rate in the country is unfortunately very high, it's 27.7%. Now, what does this mean? It means that people first want a job before they say, I want a training opportunity. So 99% of people that comes through our door, the first thing they want is a job. We then divert their attention to say, no, don't look for a job. We can give you a training or a skills development opportunity. So that's the second choice, is because of the high unemployment rate. The second thing is that youth unemployment is very high in the country. 55.5% of youth are unemployed. And that is also the biggest chunk of the population that we are actually targeting to install these skills within the youth, because the youth, they are the people that we can take forward. Someone that's 18 years old today, that start an artisanal program, 20 years from now, that person can be the perfect artisan that we need. So the unemployment rate amongst youth is such a nature that even the youth, what they want is, if they say yes, we want to go for a training opportunity, the first thing they ask you, how much are you going to pay me a stipend? Okay, so the stipend mentality is also a huge challenge to us. And what learners do is, I mean, yesterday we had a discussion about this. What learners do is they compare IDZ training welders. They pay 2,000 rand a stipend. And then another institution, Metal, no, they pay 3,500 rand a stipend. So they leave the one program, they go to the other program, just chasing stipends. And that, unfortunately, is also a huge challenge to us. The 47% of people lack technical skills. And the reason why people lack technical skills is the following, is that we don't have sufficient workplaces where people can be exposed to gain those technical skills. Many have the theoretical skills, but it is important for you to have the technical skills, and that is another challenge that we are sitting with. And also the lack of opportunities. Now, 46% of people don't know where the opportunities are. People are qualified sometimes, or people know that somewhere out there are opportunities for me to get upskilled, but they don't know where. So they don't have access to information. They don't have access to where the opportunities are. And that is also a challenge. And you'll see that people will sit for 2 years, almost for 2 years at home, and then will say, you know what, for the past 2 years we've been looking for learners. And the thing is, they don't know where to access the information. And skills development is the key to economic growth and transformation. Without skills development, economic growth can't happen. Just imagine, we're saying as the IDZ, we have 5 to 10 investors in this area, and they can create something like 1,000 jobs. But if skills development don't happen, they won't appoint people as working here because they don't meet the entry requirements to their job opportunities. I spoke about the distort skills pipeline from primary school to higher education, to secondary education into higher education. That pipeline is entirely distorted. And it's also distorted because the Department of Basic Education and the Department of Higher Education, I don't know why these two departments are not working together. I mean, that's the most fundamental and basic thing that should happen, you know. But these two departments just don't talk to each other. I mean, we went to so many events and of Department of Higher Education and Training because that's where we focus. But we will never see basic education present there. And that is why we have a distorted skills pipeline. But then, the contrary to this, to the 27.7% high unemployment rate, is that there's more than 500,000 vacancies. So there are job opportunities, but people are still unemployed. And the question is, why is that? It is because people don't have the sufficient qualification to enter into those jobs. Okay, so we qualify ourselves into areas that is not needed. I always say in the IDZ, we don't train administrators. You know, we don't do that. We don't train secretaries and all those things. Those CVs are this high. We can just close our eyes and grab CVs. But looking at technical skills, there we actually battling. And that's why I'm saying that, that's why we have the phenomenon where there is a lot of vacancies, but there's no people that can take up those vacancies because of this distorted skills pipeline. Now, from a local perspective, that was a national perspective. Now, from a local perspective, the following stats also informs the challenge that we're actually sitting with, and that is that 3% of people in this area is in school. But to start off with, Saldanha Bay municipal area, I think it's 7 towns or 6 towns, I'm not sure. That is our primary focus. Okay, so if we want a service, a business, if we want someone to take up a job opportunity, we first source from this area. If we don't, and then we go outside. Now, the population as of 2013 states in Saldanha Bay is 103,000 plus people living here. Now, of the 103,000, 3% of people have no school, have no schooling. 20% have some primary schooling. So maybe I'm still from the standard area, standard 3, 4, 5. And then 6% completed, only 6% of 103 people completed primary school. That is alarming. That's a bit worrisome. 34% have some secondary education, and only 90% thereof, 19% of 103 completed secondary school. Now, out of that 19%, now you must go and look for maths and science. And then it becomes even more worrisome. So we'll get 0.11 or 0.12 of the population of 103 that has maths and science, and that is why I'm saying basic education are not coming to the table, because maths and science is a challenge in this country. And then 6%, only 6% has some higher education. Now, if I say higher education, I say any post-matric qualification, all right? And if in the 6%, if you look at technical qualifications, is 0.11. of people that actually qualify themselves technically, the most, or 90%, so 99% of the 6% are actually more administrative-wise, and et cetera, et cetera. The dropout rate, this is also alarming. Now, this is a dropout rate both at secondary level and also at higher education level. So at TVET colleges, it's 33%. So a third of people drop out and they don't complete. That is extremely high. In fact, I reported to the board around about a month ago. Abby was sitting with me there. We trained 674 people on skills programs. Just around about 3 months, the course, the length of the course. Of the 674, we had a dropout rate of 120. Okay, that equates to around about 20%. And the board member said to me, it's high. I said, that's not the real picture. Because what we did was, we allocated, and some of the service providers here can tell you can see there's Rena. So what we will do is, we will allocate to you, say 50 learners, okay? And then the dropout rate in the first 2 weeks is so high, it's almost 30% to 40%. But what we do is, we counter that by every time someone drops out, we replace that person. If we did not do that, I think our dropout rate was going to be something like 45%, around about there. So we counted that figure. So the 20% is not the real figure. The real figure to the dropout is actually more than that. Okay, but I need to get my bonus, so I need to tweak the system. So no, it's really just because we have to spend the money at the end of the day, and we must report to our funders. So the dropout rate, people, is concern. It's a huge concern in terms of skills development and training in this area. It's a third of people. So if we train 1,000 people, just imagine 300 people per annum of the 1,000 will not make the end. But the second last bullet point is actually, to me, this is where opportunity lies. Okay, the literacy rate of people in Saldanha Bay is 86%. Okay, it means that the 86% can at least read and write, understand. You can teach them, So I think this is where the opportunity lies, and this is where actually the picture looks a bit bright. And then the unemployment rate in this area in Saldanha Bay is 23.4% compared to the 27.7% nationally. Okay, but the following is going to shock you. The West Coast, the district municipality, the unemployment rate in the district is 14.6%. Right? In Saldanha is 23.4%. So we're the highest unemployment rate in the district out of the 4 or 5 municipalities that is here. But it's also because a lot of people are living here, because there are more opportunities in Saldanha Bay. Now these stats, it's important to understand these stats, and because it is important for us to gauge ourselves in terms of our success rates. Can we do this? Can we train people? And if people are not trained, why? What is the reasons? And it's informed by all these stats that we have. And I thought it's wise to share this with you, so that at least tonight you also will have sleepless nights like I do. If you think about these stats and figures. Yes, sir.
Sorry, can I ask you a question?
Abby? Yes, fine.
Yes.
Yes, you may.
Your education numbers don't quite add up. If you add those numbers up, you only get to 88%. What happens to the other 12%? Where would you classify them?
No. What I've done is, I didn't take all the stats. So some of the stuff I left out. The only thing that I've done here, I took the schooling and the dropout of the schooling. In fact, this table is much more longer than this. So the 12% I didn't include in here. And that's why I won't be able to answer you on the other 12%, because I didn't see it relevant for me to put it in the slide. Okay, but I can give you the figures, or the whole slide. I can send it to you at a later stage. Okay, thank you. Now, I didn't take the whole comprehensive thing, because I just wanted to give you the most important figures that is relevant to me. Based on the information that we have, and based on the mandate that we have, and based on what we want to achieve in terms of skills development and training, and most importantly, based on the fact that as soon as we become operational, we want these people ready to be trained. The question was then, what is the strategy? How are we going to do it otherwise? Because training, skills development, we are not the first one to start it in the West Coast. Everyone has been doing it. All the corporates are doing it in-house. and also their TVET colleges. So our strategy was informed by the following. Point number one, the IDZ is not a supplier of skills, meaning we are not a training institution. Skills development is not our core business. It's an add-on, it's a value proposition. It's secondary actually in the IDZ, although it's important, it's an enabler. Okay? We are also not a demander of skills, meaning that we as the IDZ itself, the LICO, we are not going to appoint these people that we are training. It is the investors, the people that's going to set themselves up within the IDZ. They are going to be the takers of, or the demanders of the skills. Okay, so we also have to bear that in mind. And the third bullet point is that we are not a traditional government organization. When I say that we are not Department of Labor or Department of Higher Education and Training, we are a state-owned company that has been created with a particular goal, and that is to bring about sustainable economic growth and to create jobs. Okay, so we have a particular reason that is why we've been created. And then also, what we are is that we are a facilitator of skills. So we're a conduit. You know, we are there to facilitate skills development in this area in order to meet the demands or the expectation of our investors on the one side, and also to ensure that people in Saldanha Bay can be able, so we're an enabler, so that they can be able to take up those opportunities that we come to create by bringing in investors. So that is what we are, and hence we heavily rely on partnerships. Okay. Point number one also, the other thing is we are not funded for skills development, nor are we funded for enterprise development. Okay. So the IDZ gets funds to put in infrastructure, and we got fund to pay salaries and water and electricity, so for operational costs, but we are not funded for skills development. But it means that part of my job is to go out there and to get money so that we can train people. And you know it is expensive to train people. You know the fees must fall things and all those things. Education is very expensive. So what did we do in order to formulate the strategy? Our strategy is what we call the core pillars of our skills development strategy. And those core pillars are based on 3 legs. The one leg is placements and programs. All our programs must be accredited. Okay, the reason why we say it must be accredited is because we have this progression approach in terms of skills development. For every program you do, you get a credit, and you do another one, and those credits get added at the end of the day to give you a particular outcome or on the NQF level. All right, that is why all our programs are accredited. Besides, where there's speciality, you know, specializations sometimes are not accredited because it's a particular skill that you need to do in order to upskill yourself. So when we started in 2013, we only had the West Coast TVET College. The TVET College has a limited number of learners they can take, and also the programs are also limited. Okay, so this leg could not move because there was a problem. We didn't have enough places and programs. So what we did is we encouraged private service providers to come to the area. I actually had to go and present to them and say, listen, if you set up your training center, because we don't have like Kucha. Kucha they have the in-house training center, which is managed by them. It's their training center. Because our skills development or the programs that we need are so vast, we couldn't accommodate all those programs under one roof. Hence, we decided, we thought it wise to rather appoint service providers, appoint them, and then they deliver those skills on our behalf. Okay. So places and programs was in 2013 a problem, but I think by 2015 we had enough service providers locally to respond to our needs. Now it became very expensive to take people to Cape Town. In 2013 we took 13 guys, ladies and gentlemen, to Cape Town to do apprenticeship courses at Simonstown. For the 13 people I paid, I think 2.2 million rands for transport, food and accommodation. I could have trained almost skills programs, say 300 people in skills programs with that money. Yeah, right about there. So we then decided not to move people out of this Saldanha Bay to put them somewhere else. We would rather encourage service providers to come to Saldanha, establish themselves here, and then we appoint them to train. The second thing was people. You know, without people you can't train. You know, and when I say people, I need people that meets the entry requirements of these programs. Our primary focus was artisans. We are going to train a lot of artisans, a lot of specialists, technicians, etc., etc. But in 2013, we were pleasantly surprised. I was looking for 30 people to take to Simonstown. I could only find 7. Reason why the people responded to the adverts was over 200-300, but only 7 met the entry requirements to those programs. Okay, the other 7 we actually had to go and recruit from Malmesbury and all the other towns in Saldanha on the west coast. So people is critical to our programs. If we don't have people, we can't spend the money, we can't train, people can't, there's no one that can take up those jobs. Okay, so that is very critical. I mean, it might sound very silly or not making sense, but it does, you know. That is again where basic education comes in. It's either people don't have the right subjects, or they don't have the right, they dropped out, so they don't have matric or grade 9 in those instances, or whatever. And then the third one is funding. Now in 2013, funding was a problem. We didn't have money at all, and I had people. And then I found the money, and then I found out I don't have the right people, so people, so went back to 2013, all right? So we have to find a balance between places, funding, and people. Now, if you take any one of these legs, then this whole thing will fall down. Hence, I'm saying these 3 legs in our strategy is of utmost importance. We constantly have to go and look for people, and if they don't meet the requirements, we have to see how we can get them in the programs. We also have to leverage funding on the one side, and we also have to ensure that places are accredited and they deliver the right quality of training. We're sitting now with a service provider that I can't pay because it is just messy sometimes, you know. Sometimes training service providers are just not doing the thing they're supposed to do. Now, the other challenge that we have is a lack of awareness of RDZ programs. That's a fact, you know. I'll talk to people. Sometimes people send me a WhatsApp. What opportunities are there in IDZ? I can't respond via WhatsApp. It's impossible, you know. But it just shows you the lack of awareness in the programs that we have. And we don't take that lightly. We're always aware of the fact that we must spread the word on the opportunities that we have and what the IDZ actually can bring. The limited number of workplaces is a very, very, very big problem. You know, I mentioned the fact that we don't have technical skills, and the technical skills you get at workplaces. That's where you get it. And unfortunately, workplaces, employers don't often open their doors so that people can get practical training. Also, understandably so, because I mean, if I have an engineering company, I'm not a training institution. I do engineering. But now you must bring the element of training also to the party. So we're working very hard on ensuring that we have sufficient workplaces. Concerning high levels of apathy, mense stel nie die belang nie. You know, it's just how it is. People are just not interested. If there's a shorter way to get money, I'll rather look at that rather than going through the long way of education and training and learning and then certify, then get a job. So apathy is rife in the community, and with every challenge, there's a strategy that we're counting. We're talking to people, we encourage them to please come onto the programs, etc. Accessibility of applicants. Oh man, people change numbers as if they're getting paid. Today there's a number, you call them tomorrow. Unfortunately, that is our biggest problem, accessibility of people. We have this database of people, and we call them, we just can't get hold of them. That is a huge. High levels of substance abuse, you know, the problem of TIC, and also the lack of confidence. Now, substance abuse, I also make this example. One of the requirements, you know, to get into the programs would obviously be you must be drug-free. So Patrick, you must conduct a drug test, before you put someone on the program. And then I said, yes, I can do that. But then now, if I find someone that is, I find this person is a drug addict, and then I must take the person off my program, and then what? I don't have a solution. I don't have a rehabilitation center. I don't have money to send someone to a rehabilitation center. That's the problem now. So you're gonna tell people, no, don't go into these programs, but you don't have a solution to their problems. What if they say to you, listen, I have a problem, please help me. So that is the other challenge that we're sitting with. In terms of the solutions, we've created what we call the Community Skills and Training Committee. This is a committee that we meet monthly. They consist of 2 members of the ward committees. They're independent thinkers. If they don't like what we do, they tell us. Sometimes this meeting can be heated, sometimes it's nice, sometimes unreasonable, but what we appreciate is the fact that through this committee, the community can then think for themselves. They can say, this is what we want, or this is what we don't want. So when we recruit learners, we would basically take them to this committee and then say, listen, these are the learners that applied. Do they live in Saldanha? And if there's issues about the residence or the domicilia, the committee must deal with it. I can't say everyone that applied, I can't tell whether they are from here or not, because there's an issue also. The incomers. And then the other one is to form a strategic partnerships. We've formed so many partnerships, and that is why most of the time you don't see me around. Is because we must nurture these partnerships, as government departments, it's the public and private sectors, funders, it's workplaces, employers that I constantly have to engage with to ensure that we get the money, we get accreditation. In fact, accreditation of workplaces, of service providers that we appoint, it is not our competency. It's the competency of CETAs and the QCTO. So if we find that a service provider don't deliver, we actually have to go to QCTO or to the particular CETA to assist. And that is also another area that we have to look into. Now, and the third solution to our approach is the whole progression approach. So in 2013, we wanted to train artisans, right? Apprenticeships. Now, for apprenticeship, we have to have matric, maths and science, and some instances, etc., etc. They are nowhere to be found, right? So we then started an approach of progression training. So we start with skills programs. We started with the one program which I'm going to identify to, which is a 3-month program, which is basic skills in welding, for instance. I'm just going to use welding as an example, and then we'll expose to you again on a longer process of welding, and then articulate yourself into a learnership, and then articulate you into apprenticeship, and then you become qualified. So we're having this long process that we unfortunately have to follow in order to give opportunities to people in this area. Now, our training programs, we have the ITEMA training programs. We infrastructure call numbers, they have their numbers. It's Contact 2012, but I gave them names. ITEMA means hope. And our first program was funded by MERSITA and by the DTI. It was 10 million, 5 million, 5 million. And that is the 674 people we trained, with a dropout rate of around about 20%. Those learners, the credits there was around about less than average 40 credits that they earned. Okay, so we then took them and then they articulated into Tutor 1 and Tutor 2. Tutor 1 and Tutor 2, the one is learnerships, and the other ones are apprenticeships, which were funded and still funded by Chemical CETA, which is Chieta. And then the last one, the fourth one, which is Siakula. Siakula means we are growing. And that is the advanced and the specialized programs, which is once again funded by DTI. In fact, what we did, we took the ITEMBA, the 30 credits, we took those learners, and we're now articulating them in the Siakula program, which is 80 credits. All right. So if they're done with these two programs, they will earn 120 credits, which is NQF level 2, would give them access to apprenticeships and also to a learnership. But these are learners that initially could not enter those programs. Okay, so that is where the progression approach comes in, where we take you from nothing and then make you something, but it will take a bit, obviously it consumes a bit of time. So our advanced in specialized programs. Now these programs goes hand in hand with enterprise development, because what we're doing here, we are not only developing the human capital side, but we're also developing on the business side. On the welding side, because welding, rig repair, and this is still one of the value propositions or the areas that the IDZ is looking into. Rig repair is one of the biggest job creators, and we know what type of activities happens on a rig. You know, you're going to need welders, boiler makers, electricians, fitters, mechanical fitters, everyone, you're going to need them. We've so far trained 420 welders in skills programs, learnerships, and also in apprenticeships. And I think the area where we are very proud of in terms of this particular welding intervention is in 2013, we took learners to Simonstown. Two of them were welders, a lady from Langaban and a guy from Saldanha. They qualified, so they got the red seal, that they are the artisans. I then sent them to the South African Institute of Welding in Cape Town, where they did the welding inspectors level 1 courses. Now that course alone is 40,000 per person, accommodation excluded. They went through that course. On Monday morning, I took the one guy for an interview with WHO because they needed a welding inspector, and he got accepted, you know. So that guy's going to start to work for WHO as a welding inspector. And he literally went through our process. At the end of the day, I said, we are not an employer, so we are not taking these skills. We are developing these skills for the industry. And I can tell the welding inspectors earn a great deal of money. And the bonus for this guy is that he works at home. You don't need to go and work somewhere else. So I'm very proud of that achievement. And the lady is now an instructor, a welding instructor at MCK Engineering in town. And as soon as she's going to, because there's still 2 subjects you need to do next week, the 26th and 27th, she will also do the welding inspection at the same place. So she'll be instructor and also do the welding inspection on the vessels. So these are the things that actually allow me to wake up and feeling proud that what we do has an impact, you know, and we can show the stuff. And we can go on. I mean, there's so many learners that we've placed so far that actually now earn a living out of the programs that we've implemented. On the boiler making side, the challenge with boiler making is that it's only the West Coast College that offers boiler making. So besides their own programs, they must accommodate me. Hence the numbers are so low. Okay, but we've managed to assist. In fact, we were actively involved in ensuring that the service provider from Saldanha is now accredited as boiler maker. So they're also now going to train boiler makers. On the rigging side, there's also one service provider. Now I hate this one service provider phenomenon, you know, because one service provider, because you know, they moet terugkomen met toe met bando gaan sy, you know. So I hate this one service provider, but the rigging also is only the one service provider. I don't know, people are afraid of rigging. I'm encouraging people, please, to start up a rigging training center. There's money in rigging. Electrical, 2 of our service providers, Africa Skills, Rina and Westvolt, Mr. Matthews are there. I mean, with them we've been working very closely, and I must say, on that side, on the electrical side, we are getting high quality learning out of. We honestly don't have a lot of challenges. Now, fiber optic. This one was a guy came to me, he's sitting here, he's looking at me, and but in trouble. This guy came to me and said, you know what, this is what I do. You know, I connect internet and and all these things. But are you guys not going to need fiber optic? And I said, yes. In the IDZ, obviously, we need high speed internet connection. And this guy said to me, but you know, the problem with me, I can't do this fiber optic because I don't have the qualification. Me, I and 4 guys need a particular intervention. It costs over 80,000 in Cape Town plus accommodation. Can you guys assist? I then went to the infrastructure guys and I said, listen, is this not a nice thing? And I went to enterprise development. What if I take these guys to Cape Town, they get the qualification, enterprise development take them over, and then infrastructure, as soon as that opportunity comes, we have a local guy that can do the fiber optic. And this is what we've done with this intervention. So besides the fact that they themselves has now the skill it is an advantage. They can also do business, and this is one program that we're looking forward to. It hasn't started yet, but it needs to start. The same with the corrosion protection. These guys, corrosion protection is needed in a rig. I mean, on shipbuilding, boat repairs. These guys can get a contract from WBHO, but it's going to cost them 7,000 per person to train. The money which they don't have, they're local colored guys. So I said, but okay, it's fine. If we train your people, you can get a contract which is over, I don't know how many millions. But it's also the same skill that we're going to need as soon as the rig repair starts. And as soon as shipbuilding is going to start within the IDZ. So besides the fact also that we train an individual, we're also assisting a company to access a particular contract. Okay. Offshore safety is unfortunately expensive. You know, your NIBOSH and your or PITO, those courses, it's a week courses, sometimes 2 week courses, 25,000 rands. And we thought it wise to make some funding available for around about 15 people. We still need to go and do the, someone told me, Patrick, you're so slow. I've already paid my money. So I said, thank you. So you had money all along. We want to help people without money, I'm kidding. So this course will be rolled out very, very soon. With our fit and hydraulic courses, what we've done, we have now, as we talk, we have, how many learners are there?
No, in Cape Town there's 6.
Now, we've sent learners to Cape Town, to Northland College, because they're the only guys that can offer this particular course. So these learners are there. We've paid them for accommodation and transport, because 80 to 90% of movements on a rig are actuated by either pneumatic or hydraulics. And unfortunately, those skills are almost non-existent in Saldanha. Our exit strategies, as I said, is either you decide that, listen, I've done a particular course, I need more education like the guys did. They said, listen, we have our race as welders, please send us for a welding inspection level 1. So we upskill you. That's one exit strategy. The second one is employment. I'm certified now and I'm looking for a job. And if you take the job in Joburg, wherever, we don't mind wherever you go to with the certificate. It's yours. And then the last one, of this is business. If you want to say, listen, I want to enter into a business venture, we then send you to the enterprise development unit, and through GrowthNet, you then assist it. So we have a particular exit strategy for each and every person that we train. We're also involved in Operation Phokisa, the ocean's economy. I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I say I only have 5 minutes left, am I right? On Operation Phokisa, I'm the chairperson of the Marine Manufacturing, the National Skills Working Group on Marine Manufacturing. So that is, this is a presidential project where we're looking at developing this ocean's economy, and more especially on the marine manufacturing side. And we need to establish centers of specialization. We need to train 18,000 people as well as artisans, semi-skills, and also as professionals. And also we have to train 2,550 apprenticeships, and the ESA database, which I'll talk to you in the other slide. And then on the other side is the offshore oil and gas one. The offshore oil and gas one goes a bit slow because this is, we're working from nowhere. The challenge with the offshore oil and gas is the following: there is no industry. So you want to train someone, point number one, and then that person must get their practical skills. Now, because there's no industry, where is this person going to get his practical skills? So that's the one challenge. The second challenge is that the allocation of exploration licenses, unfortunately, Benny is dealing with those things. It's not Benny, sorry, you're involved in it. Government just takes so long to get that ball rolling. But in the meantime, it creates the opportunity for us to build the skills so that as soon as that industry is operational, we know we have readily available skills and we don't need to import people from abroad. And then the last slide is that other initiatives that we are involved in. We are now investigating the establishment of an integrated learner management system. The problem that we have here is that learners come in, we train them, we certify them, and they disappear. You know, they change numbers. That's what they do. They get a number a day, and you can't contact them, you know. And so we are now busy looking at the integrated learner management system, where we can get in contact with learners through social media, through other means besides just a cell phone number, because a cell phone number is honestly not the solution, and also your address is not the solution, because we are only 4. We can't get into our cars and go and look for you. All right. And the second thing that we're busy with, the project, is the Department of Labor, ESSA, the ESSA system. The ESSA stands for Employment Service South Africa. The biggest challenge here was that the many databases that we have. All right, that's the first thing. People must register there, and then you must go register there for an opportunity. And there's a thing at Dyersville, that's the first thing. And the second thing is the existence of employment services. I want to call them labor brokers. You give the names to them, but then there's this monetary value attached to that name. And some people are told that to register my database you must pay. So for us to take a neutral way, we then decided on utilizing the Department of Labor ESSA system. The problem with the system it's underutilized. So the quality of people registering on that system was unfortunately a bit low. It's not good quality. So through a system, through a process started in 2013, we assisted them to, in fact, when we started in 2013, they had 2,000 people in the database, which you could do nothing with, but we've put in some resources. That database locally is now, I think it's 18,500 people that is on the database, and we're actively making use of the database. In conclusion, we also have another project that I almost forgot. Infrastructure is now putting the fence around. I think you might have heard those that attended previous Togasi. They're putting a fence around the IDZ. I think 6 companies were actually appointed to do the job. And then what I did from skills development was to say, right, identify 2 people per company, the supervisors, and we are now giving the supervisory training. So I accredited supervisory training, and at a cost of 20,000 rands per person almost. So per company we're spending around about 40,000 rands to train the people as supervisors so that they can use those skills elsewhere even. So those are also the type of interventions that we're implementing in the IDZ from a skills development and training perspective. I thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the one speaker that utilized his entire hour to the T. So thank you so much, Patrick. I think it was very informative. The next hour is allowed for networking. So feel free to speak to Patrick if you have questions. I also just want to make use of this opportunity to introduce our other colleagues in the room today. Benny Matlangu, if you can just stand up for me, please. Benny works in our ease of doing business, and then Jawahir is our commercial manager. Is Martina still here? No? From legal? Okay, now he was here. So that's our IDZ representation here today. Feel free to engage with them, and we wish to see you at our next Togazi next month. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks.